Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Today, I'm going to tell you a bit about myself, what I do for a living, and how I came to join this Toastmasters group, and also why, for me, it feels like a good fit. To start with, I come from a military family. My father was in the Army for 20 years. And like most military families, we moved just about every 3 years. So you can see on this map some of the places that we lived as I was growing up, different forts, mostly on the eastern side of the country. Then we spent 3 years in Grafenbeer, and finally, my father retired in Fort Ord, which was lucky for me because I got to go to high school at Monterey High School, 3 years there. My senior year, we had a new student in class, Lisa, who became my best friend. She was there because her father was on sabbatical teaching at the Naval Postgraduate School. And because her dad taught at the school and my father was retired Army, we were able to make use of the NPS swimming pool, which we did quite often. Here is a picture of us from back in the 80s, looking like we had spent the full day at the pool, I think. From there, I went on to Santa Barbara. And when I graduated from there, I was involved with a man who just finished his PhD in physics and was starting on the postdoc track. So I went with him for postdocs in Chicago, Vermont, and then Michigan. So you're beginning to see a pattern, which is that I don't stay in one place for very long. In Michigan, I went back to school to get a degree in landscape architecture. And while I was there, I learned about geographic information systems, or GIS. So I'm going to pause from my story here just for a bit and explain what is GIS. I'm sure many of you already know, but for a few of you who don't. So the quick answer, what I'll tell my dentist, is that it's computer mapping. But the longer answer is that it's a way to have data show up on a map. So here's a map of trees. And what's really good is that each tree is a record in the data set. And the data set has coordinates so that you know so the tree knows where it should show up on the map. But it also has information like what species it is, how big it is, how old it is it sick or is it healthy? So for example, I can create a map like this where I say highlight all the oak trees that haven't been trimmed in 2 years. Or another example, I can have the symbols be adjusted based on the size of the tree so that you can easily see where are the big trees versus where are the small trees. There's a lot more to GIS than that, but this is just a quick overview. So one day I had a job in Michigan doing GIS work, and I'm sure it was in March, and I'm sure there was snow on the ground and no leaves in the trees. And my boss asked me, did I want to go work on Maui? And I said yes. But by now you can probably guess that after 3 years, my internal timer went off and I was ready to move again, which meant I needed a new job, which meant I needed to interview. And that's where Toastmasters came in. I joined a group on Maui and they were great. And I'm sure that the practice I got in Toastmasters helped me get the job that I have now, which I've had for 15 years.
15.
It turns out the secret to staying put was my husband. And while we did not meet biking to work, we did meet at work because we both love bicycling. So in my current job, I don't give presentations that often, but occasionally. And I've noticed in the past couple of years, I'm getting more and more anxious about speaking, and it's getting harder for me to speak up, even when I just have something I want to say. In the past, Toastmasters helped me gain confidence with public speaking and just with speaking in general. So I started to look for a local group. But I didn't expect to find one that reminds me so much of my history. From coming from a military family, to spending summers at the NPS pool, to spending time with scientists and academics. And over the last 15 years, I have probably made hundreds of maps with a little NPS symbol just off to the center. For all of those reasons, I feel at home in this group, and I want to thank you for this opportunity to learn and grow. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.